You're listening to the Veterans Impact Show, continuing the mission of service and bringing together our civilian and military communities. Brought to you by Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Don't worry, retire happy and work with us. What good day. What a beautiful day it is.
Gorgeous
Chuck,
day.
This is Chuck Wright, the greatest helicopter pilot the Marine Corps ever got rid of. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, actually, that kind of fits. Yeah.
Okay, that's
Kicked
great.
me out the door.
And I want to say thank you to Nathaniel Smith with Ascend Podcasting. And my wife, Diane, had to attend a funeral in El Paso, and so she can't be with us. We want to say a special thank you to Noble Radio Network down in South Texas, as well as our AUN network out in California. And this is sponsored by Fairway Independent Mortgage, who I work for, and my MLS number is 311-548, and our corporate is 2289. So there's the legal stuff. We
Legal
get the
stuff
attorney
out of the way.
We're done. I got to tell you, you got an exciting program you put together today with a guy that I barely know, but I want to get to know better, Mike Rumfeld. And this is all about this great ball that's coming up and the mission that they've got. So why don't you introduce Mike?
Well, Mike Rumfeld has been a friend of mine for some time, and he runs, and he's going to tell that story here in a minute. He's an Army vet who, like a lot of and I was really surprised to find out how many of our first responders are veterans. But when you think about it, it makes complete sense. And he's going to talk about America's Defenders Foundation, and I always struggle with that. And Mike always laughs at me. Mike, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, gentlemen. Appreciate you having me on today.
Man, it's
good
great.
looking Dak Prescott jersey there in the background as we lick our wounds from once again not advancing to the Super Bowl.
Well, maybe next year.
We're concentrating on maybe 14 interceptions next year instead of 15, just to improve our odds a little bit more.
Absolutely. Hey, you were 101st. Man, I mean, what a great outfit. Tell us a little bit about your career in the Army.
So it actually started with my godfather. He served in three branches. He first did the Navy. And he did his first tour in Vietnam as a Navy riverboat guy, little river gunboat. He had a lot of fun on that. Although it ended up helping him out. I'm sorry.
No, Mike, let me tell you. You know what the lifespan of the Brownwater Navy guys were? About 30 days.
A week. 30 days, yeah.
It was tough. It was really tough. I've known several. So that's a huge accomplishment just to come back from that. So please go ahead.
Mike, you see how quickly we rabbit hole here.
Yeah.
Get off on tangent.
Yeah, hey, listen, I've taken my ADD medication today. We're good. I'll follow you. So So yeah, he did a year in the Navy, or his last year in the Navy was his first year in Vietnam, did a tour there, came back. And while he was in, right before he got out, he got 2 fresh Navy tattoos on his forearms, each forearm. Comes home, gets out, and during that time, obviously, the American public wasn't very receptive to Vietnam veterans. So he spent a few months out and decided to go back in. But this time, he decided to go into the Marine Corps. So he enlisted into the Marine Corps in 03-11 and decided to enlist with 2 fresh Navy tattoos in the 60s. So he was very, very inspirational in my life. I don't know that he processed information and repercussions very well as a young man, but he learned as he went on, I guess. But interesting thing is, while he's in Marine Corps boot camp, they had a DI cycle through that they recognized one another, and through conversation found out that Dad's boat actually pulled his team out of a very, very, very tenuous situation over in country. And they had a short conversation, and he thanked them for pulling his team out. And, if they hadn't showed up when they did, that he wouldn't be there today. So during the day, Dad said that he treated him like every other recruit, which was very, very hospitable back in the 1960s with Marine Corps boot camp. And but during the evening time, when everybody racked out, he'd pull Dad into the DI office and give him a Snickers bar and a Coke or a Pepsi or whatever, and just ask how he's doing, make sure he was good, and then push him back out to the racks and move on. So Dad did 3.5 more tours in Vietnam as an 0311 with the Marine Corps. So 4.5 tours total. Got out and went into law enforcement, but in doing so, he also went into the reserves or National Guard. I can't remember which, but it was sponsored by the Army. So he wore his third uniform with the United States Army. And he spent 27 years as a law enforcement officer before retiring. And that really was my influence to go into the military. And I asked him, since he had experience in all three branches, well, three of the, now 6 branches, what do I do? Do I go into the Marine Corps? Do I go into the Army? The Navy was out because I like land. I like dry land. I don't like water. And he said, he gave me the typical old school, Marine, soldier, Navyman. He goes, well, listen, none of them are what they are when I was in. So it doesn't really matter. You go to the one that's going to give you the most. And that ended up being the Army. So enlisted back in 98 and did my basic training in infantry school at Fort Benning on Sand Hill, and pushed to the 101st Airborne and was assigned to the 187th Infantry Regiment, otherwise known as the Rockassons, for my remaining time in the Army.
Very nice.
Very nice.
So this takes you out of the military into law enforcement, and we'll come back to the law enforcement part. But what was the motivation to found America's Defenders Foundation, or to create whatever we want to say?
Yeah. So prior to founding AMDEF, I was president of our local law enforcement association here in Collin County for 4 years. And in that time, we really kind of got into Leilani, my co-founder and vice president of AMDEF as well. We really got into that serving our community, right? Serving the blue community. We really kind of got
and we should mention, for those listening, Leilani is Mike's very, very talented, lovely, much better half.
Much better half, right? Yeah, I definitely outkicked my coverage with her for sure.
Yep, absolutely.
So she, we kind of got into that service mentality. We started developing some programs within the association, and oddly enough, the very first Thin Blue Line Ball actually was a collective between 4 police associations coming together, and us hosting the first one back in December of 2015. So that was the very first ball. It wasn't even under AMDEF. It was while I was president of our Collin County Deputies Association. So that, in conjunction with understanding and seeing that there's a greater need outside of Collin County, right? Outside of the Metroplex area. But just due to the constraints of that organization, you really couldn't do anything. It didn't make sense business-wise or bylaw-wise to expand upon the mission with that organization. So back in 2016, we had a conversation and decided, you know what, it's time to expand our horizons and take our mission set that we're interested in and giving back to those who have served our community, to found a 501c3, a nonprofit that allows us to go beyond the borders of Collin County and have it make sense.
So tell us a little bit about, help people understand what the foundation does, because there are several things that you do, and my wife and I have attended the last 5, I think it's the last 5 balls. I have to go back and count challenge coins. I keep track of how many I've been to by our challenge coins. Oh, and I forgot to bring I was going to bring the challenge coin to show off. Mike does a slightly unique challenge coin every year. But what are some of the programs that you do? How are you serving the law enforcement community?
So we have a few programs. The two prominent throughout the year are Children of the Blue Line and Children of the Green Line. And those are programs where we will go out and rent space or get a suite at a baseball game, a football game, a hockey game, maybe go to medieval times, maybe do amusement park. We're very careful when we started those programs that we didn't want to get into the therapeutic space. There's plenty of organizations out there that already fulfill that space, and we didn't want to get into that at all. What we wanted to do was supplement the therapeutic space with putting families in an environment of fun and allow them to connect and hopefully create their own support network as well with like-minded kids and families that are dealing with the same challenges as that peer group, within itself. So that's our goal, is basically get these families together in a fun, energetic environment and let them enjoy themselves and let them meet other kids and other families that are dealing with the same challenges, exchange numbers, and in a non-therapeutic environment, make friends and create a support network for one another.
So you've mentioned several times now challenges. Let's talk about what those challenges, because I was, as you and I have gotten to know each other better, and I've gotten to know the mission of this organization better, I am stunned at the incredible challenges, and it's the kids. So talk about that, if you would, Mike.
Yeah. So, combat veteran kids and law enforcement kids, actually, there's a lot more cross-pollination in the challenges there within the family dynamic that many people realize. Unlike a child of a combat veteran, that veteran faced their enemy thousands and thousands of miles away. But because of that combat conflict, there's things that are brought home. Back home, and sometimes there's some challenges that develop within the relationships of the family, and some things that people deal with through processing trauma or processing experiences. And similarly, in the law enforcement community, officers, they're going to their, I don't want to say battleground because it's not a battleground, but they're going to their places of conflict or area of operations every single day, 4 or 5 days a week. And they're dealing with society's challenges and the traumas that are going on there. And, one of the sayings that we had for years in law enforcement is our every day is your worst day. So all of that kind of builds up and brings in a lot of challenges within the home. Kids are having to deal with, officers that have experienced very traumatic events that day. And, they may not be dealing with it well emotionally. And it creates, a different dynamic within the, I don't want to say hostility, but it creates a different dynamic within the home. And not only that, there's a lot of things that law enforcement kids can't publicly or openly participate in because of activities that the officer, as their parent, is dealing with in the community. For instance.
Well, keep going, Mike. I guess you can hear the music.
I can hear the music.
Okay, good.
So, back when I was doing a lot of street actor, I was a street cop. I did gang intelligence as a collateral duty for 9 years. And there were awards that my kids got, or my son got, in elementary school and whatnot, that we couldn't publicly put his name in the program. We couldn't publicly let them say his name on stage. He had to privately receive his award because I was dealing with, criminal organization threats in our backyard.
Wow.
So,
all right, let's take a break right quick. We've got Mike Rumfeld, 101st Airborne, a police officer and founder of American Defenders Foundation. We're going to be back talking about this right after these words. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. Hey, thank you for being on board. This is the Veterans Impact Show. We've got Mike Rumfeld, police officer, founder of America's Defenders Foundation. This is really outstanding. I'm learning a lot when he was talking about the challenges of the family and the kids. I never thought about any of that. So
And most people don't. And it's one thing, it's probably the most disturbing thing that I've learned as our nation has gone through several of the most divisive years we've ever seen. But all of a sudden, it's let's make law enforcement the bad guy, defund the police are bad, the police are evil. And it's this absurd virtue signaling that we see. And now it's expanded by DAs backed by a certain nefarious political figure that are just saying, let's decriminalize everything because it's fair and it's right. And I'm like, what in the world happened? But as bad as it is for the police, the families are getting hit with it even worse.
well, don't you think that part of that effort that's being made by those super liberals is destructive? Because
We
if
tried
you-
to leave the word liberal out. We're trying to make this non-political.
no,
Just
let's
sticking with-
call it like it is, because I think it's a terrible thing because it's been like brainwashing. It's the same thing that we went through in Vietnam,
Yeah.
that the American press turned against us. And when I came home from Vietnam, Mike, as your dad did when he came home from Vietnam, we weren't welcome.
Godfather, not his dad. But the point
Yeah.
remains exactly the same. And Mike, let's kind of continue down this path, and especially to talk about what America's Defenders Foundation is doing to help strengthen that family, to provide support for that family. So I'll let you continue to talk about this incredible organization, and then we'll do the fun stuff. We'll talk about the gala.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, in addition to a lot of, in addition to the programs, I guess, that we put out publicly, there's a lot that we do behind the scenes that we don't publicize. There's some organizations that exclusively deal with members of fallen officer families. That's their mission. That's their niche. And we try to support them as peer organizations as much as we can. But in doing so, we've also developed a relationship with, unfortunately, many families that have experienced loss due to the line of duty. And one of the things that we're very, very conscious and careful about is to try to support them as much as we can behind the scenes and not publicize what exactly we're doing to potentially have it look like they're being exploited, right? Because sacrifice is not meant to be marketed. Sacrifice.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that.
And we feel very strongly about that, which is why you will never see on social media from America's Defenders Foundation anything that we've done, behind the scenes or events or a lot of the stuff that we do. Even at the ball, we do something above and beyond just the ball that we never publicize, that we don't really talk about because it's about honoring their sacrifice. It's about upholding, that knowledge with them or that connection with them, that they will always be part of the Blue family, regardless of, regardless of whether or not their officer is still here. They will always be part of the family. So and I hesitate to even talk about what we do because that would kind of be marketing it, right?
But that's okay. You're in friendly company here.
You are in friendly company, but let's talk about. This is a great way to segue. We've been talking about the ball, every year you put on the Thin Blue Line Ball, and it's coming up on April 15th.
Yep.
And we're actually running up on another break. And let's really dig deep into the ball on the other side of the break, because that's really kind of the key to what we're doing today, the timing of today's visit.
And we want to show people, because a lot of people say, where can I go to participate? Where can I go to donate? We're going to be showing you where you can go to be involved with the Thin Blue Line Ball and the American Defenders Foundation. So this is Chuck Wright, and I'm Jim Blythe, U.S. Navy, Marine Corps. We're talking to Mike Rumfeld, 101st Airborne Army, about America's Defenders Foundation, the Thin Blue Line. That's an important group. So we're going to be right back, and we thank you for being part of this. Join us on YouTube, share us, sponsor, be us. This is a Veterans Impact Show. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show, and thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. Thank you for bringing Mike Rumfeld and the American Defenders Foundation to the program today. This is a fantastic thing. I never knew anything about it, and he was just saying, well, they kind of keep it low profile was what I was hearing. I can imagine.
Some of the programs, they do try to keep low profile, but we're going to talk about a higher profile. We are going to talk about one of the more fun events that my wife and I have attended. We are proud participants of it. We're going to talk about the Thin Blue Line Ball coming up on April 15th. And we have thrown the website up. We didn't talk about the website, but we've tossed the website up a couple of times, and we'll have Diane plug into Facebook the address of the website. But this is specifically for the ball. Mike, talk about your motivation for creating the ball and what goes on. It is a lot of fun, a lot of great activities.
Yeah, so that actually goes back to 2015 with, unfortunately, the law enforcement community experienced a loss down in Houston, down in Harris County with Deputy Goforth. And I went down, as many as thousands of officers do from all over the country when there's a line of duty death, went down to Houston and participated in the funeral for Goforth. It was a drive back from Houston up to Collin County that I was talking to my lovely better half, Leilani, about just kind of what I was feeling with the community in general, law enforcement community in general, and what it was nice to see everybody kind of come together, and It was almost therapeutic. So in that conversation, she says, well, you know what? Let's start doing a gala or a ball or something to try to improve the camaraderie within the law enforcement community in North Texas, but Texas specifically. And I was like, yeah, okay. No, I kind of pushed it off a little bit. And I guess maybe, I don't know, a few weeks passed, and she asked me, hey, where are we at with the ball? And I was like,
if you haven't figured out already, Leilani is the driver in this family.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, she's firmly got her hands on the wheel for sure. So I kind of stumbled my words a little bit, and I was like, well, I didn't realize you were that serious about it. And she, in a very Leilani way, let me know that she was very serious about making this happen. And my marching orders from that point on were go out, take care of business, and make it happen. Well, that was 8 weeks prior to the first ball. And we put the first Thin Blue Line Ball together in that 2-month period. It just kind of is an exploratory event, kind of see if it would catch on. And what we found out was it was a niche that needed to be filled, obviously, because in 8 weeks of putting it together, 4 organizations being involved, it took maybe 5 weeks of ticket sales. We had like 160 tickets, and 125 or so people showed up just out of nowhere with a never before event, very hastily put together and marketed. So that kind of told us there was a niche or that needed to be filled in our community. So fast forward 2017, that was the first year that we did it under the AMDEF as an organization. And we grew from 160 to 255 and outgrew that venue. And every year since then, other than the past couple of years, because the venue is huge now, we've outgrown the previous 3 venues that we were at up until 2 years ago. So Leilani was very much a driving force. The experience that we had down in Houston at Go Forth Funeral and the emotions and the conversation was very much a driving force. But overall and ultimately, the goal of the ball is to bring officers from all over the country together in a night that everybody is blue family. Rank doesn't matter. Agency doesn't matter. We're all law enforcement family together, where we celebrate one another. We're honoring our fallen for those who did not make it the previous year. And we're celebrating who we are as a community and who we are to one another.
Mike, do you know Mike Catone from New Jersey? Or I believe it's Connecticut. Mike Catone started C3 Policing. We had him on the program a couple of years ago. Amazing guy. And he was an Army Green Beret who started the C3 Community Policing Program. Very, very, very successful. I'll see if I can connect you guys. You'd love to have him.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what it's all about, is connecting and getting the community together all over. I mean, we've had as many as 10 different states represented at the ball in each year. Last year,
I was going to say, we get a strong contingent of retired NYPD police that our friend Gus Karbakis leads the charge with.
Oh, really? How cool is that?
Oh, yeah, it's where they get their own couple of tables, and yeah, it's a lot of fun. That's they are living large when they're at the event.
Now, where is the event going to be this year, Mike?
So it's going to be at the Dallas Allen Marriott convention, or it's a Waters Creek Convention Center, as well as attached to the Marriott. It's at Bethany and 75.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So let's
throw the website back up again. So you can find this, and this is on the America's Defenders, and it's americasdefenders.org is the website address, and then just click on the ball tab, which we've already done, which you can see April 15th. And you can see this great logo.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that will be key to the challenge coin.
How many people are you expecting to come, Mike?
So this year, we've had a little with economic, impacts that we've had, and obviously just things getting more expensive and discretionary income kind of dwindling within the most family households. We've had a little bit of a regression. The biggest ball that we've ever had was 850 people.
Wow.
We're expecting probably 750 this year.
That is a big ball.
That's a big ball.
That is a big ball.
Still a good size event, and that's why we kept outgrowing the previous venues. We were capped at 600 at our previous venues, and we were turning family law enforcement officers and supporters away, and that's what ended us up at the Marriott, is their convention center area, which, while not acoustically the best environment, allows for us to not turn anybody away who wants to come participate in the ceremonies. And that's really the biggest thing too, that separates the thin blue line ball from a normal gala. A normal gala, you kind of go into it with the mindset of, this is a fundraising venture. I'm going to go I'm going to get some cocktails in the social hour. I'm going to eat, a relatively decent chicken dinner. And I'm going to listen to a keynote speaker for 45 minutes. After 15 minutes of which I'm probably not going to care very much about what he has to say, he or she has to say. And then they're going to ask for a whole bunch of money through live auctions and silent auctions and any method that they can come up with to try to fund their mission. And that's where we're categorically different. We use the ball as a 75% appreciation give back event to the blue community, and 25% there is a fundraising component. But that fundraising component is through the silent auction and then fun, and that's a casino night at the end of the ceremonies. We don't do a keynote speaker. Our program is 100% ceremony based, and I'm comfortable in saying we have probably the most comprehensive memorial ceremony that you will attend. And Chuck has been there for many of them. He's seen the ceremonies grow and develop. And ultimately that's why we're there. We're there to pay our respects and honor those that sacrificed and honor the families that felt that sacrifice throughout the year and then previous years to that current year as well. So it's very near and dear to our hearts. That is the most important ceremony. Well, one of two important ceremonies. The other one is the spouse ceremony, where we honor our spouses for the sacrifices that they make dealing with our careers, because it is such an abnormal career.
It is a powerful, powerful ceremony. I can speak to that. And it is, we enjoy it, but it is a staunch reminder that freedom isn't free.
No, and basically all of the things that we talked about earlier that are going on in this country, we need to support these people. Mike, how can somebody A, buy a ticket? What do the tickets cost? And B, how could they donate if they can't be there?
So we try to keep our tickets as low as we can and still offer, a red carpet level event. So tickets this year are $75 individually and $150 for couples, obviously. There are still a few tables available for sponsorship. Or, we have some higher level sponsorships we don't have too many left. But there are a couple of opportunities still out there for people to participate, or organizations to participate with. And that can all be done at the Thin Blue Line Ball website, thetblb.com. If there's members of your audience or community out there that would just like to support our mission and can't necessarily attend or don't really want to attend, on the americasdefenders.org website, we have different levels of donation that can be made, and that goes straight to the foundation's mission.
Hey, and one of the things, and I'm specifically showing off the shirt today, and the one thing that isn't mentioned, and I'm going to throw out, this is going to be the commercial advertising section of the show. If you can read it, I am wearing the America's Defenders Foundation t-shirt. This is a special shirt that Mike had done for the Marine Corps League when he joined the league as an auxiliary member. And Mike, if you can bring your camera down just a little bit, Mike is wearing another version. This is the blue version with the blue lettering. And this is and there's all kinds of different colors, but right now the green ones and the blue ones are on sale on the website. And I wanted to show the back of it.
Wow.
This is the America's Defenders logo. And it is an impressive looking logo. I think I've got about 6 of these. The only shirt I have fewer of, believe it or not, is Carry the Load. I don't even have this many Marine Corps shirts, although this is a Marine Corps shirt, so it does double duty for me.
Absolutely.
But they've got some of these on sale for as little as $15. And, it's something as simple as grabbing a t-shirt, and you wear the t-shirt out, and people are going to ask the question, what's the America's Defenders Foundation?
See, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Because I like to wear, for instance, my Sea Cadets, because people ask me, and that's an important program for children. But you're talking about an important program for children of of the police officers and those who are defend our freedom right here. That's an amazing thing. So again, let's go back. You can go to the Thin Blue Line Ball. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You can sign up. Diane and I are going to sign up. How much does a table cost?
Tables are $8.50. So it comes with 10 seats. We just did a $10 premium. And that was designed mostly for, police associations or small businesses that wanted to be recognized as a sponsor and a supporter of the night and of the organization, with just a very small premium for advertising, I guess, and recognition across the board in our sponsor recognition that night, but also on the website and on social media leading up to the event.
Okay, now for our viewers and listeners in South Texas, they could come up to this ball and be a part of that. And those guys, my goodness gracious, from Uvalde on down, they really need some support. So why don't we talk about the Marriott Hotel where they could stay and all that, and give everybody a way to come up here and be a part of this as well. So tell you what, let's take a break. We're going to hear from our sponsors. And thank you, Chuck, for all you do with your Lone Star Wealth Strategies. That's a great, great organization.
Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I know. You're my financial advisor. I want to say thank you again to Mike Rumfeld. We're going to be right back with Mike talking about America Defenders Foundation and the Thin Blue Line Ball. April 15th. I couldn't think of a better day to go out and celebrate something than April 15th.
There we go.
Yeah, I think we need to do that. So we'll be right back after these words. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. Well, I'm about to bring this program back into the dock. Great time we've had, and having a great Army veteran, 101st Airborne, on the show. I mean, those guys are crazy to me, jumping out of perfectly good helicopters and airplanes. Me neither. And
Not doing that one.
I went
hard
through,
pass.
Yeah, I went through jump training to be able to fly in the TA-4. Let me tell you, I'm not about to do that. That's amazing. Mike, what you've done, not only with the 101st, but what you've done with American Defenders Foundation. Again, we want to direct people to the website, American Defenders Foundation, and to the website for the Thin Blue Line Ball. I think we could put that up, Nathaniel, if you would, please. And if you can't be here, donate. Everything that they do is to take care of the children of police officers and help them as well. I think that's an amazing thing, because we don't think about the families and the kids. So go take a look. The Thin Blue Line Ball, April 15th. You want to meet Chuck and I? We're going to be there.
We're going to be there.
I was
going to say America's Defenders Foundation has a tab, so you can go to that. You just kind of need one site, and then you can move around. And then there's a place to shop for these great looking t-shirts. Grab one of your own. We'd love to see them sell out. Mike have to order more. And Mike, we're kind of in that point where, there we go. Look at some of those shirts. I really like the tan one, by the way. One of my favorites.
I noticed you got Army green.
Yeah, he's got an Army green one, which just for me, he had to do a red Marine Corps one. So we've got the spectrum of colors covered.
You bet.
But phenomenal organization, and this is the kind of thing that we talk about when we talk about Charlie Mike. We talk about continuing the mission. Mike and Leilani have truly done that. She is the daughter of a veteran that we recently has passed away. He is out at the DFW National Cemetery, and they go out every year and honor his service. But these are the kind of continuing the missions. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I was just going to say, his name was Paul Robley. and he was a 4-tour Vietnam veteran as well, in the Army, and he was of great influence with some of our programs, including the newly renamed Skip 47 Canine program. And we use that program to, if we find a veteran who is in need of a service dog or companion dog, we do our best to try to fulfill that need in his honor as well. And that there's the Vietnam veteran is the new populace, I guess, that we're losing at a rapid pace.
Mhm.
And we're doing everything we can to support that community and their families as well. And I called, even though he was my father-in-law, I called him dad. And I was closer to him than I was my own father. And he was a huge influence in kind of ensuring that AMDEF succeeded, that we just kept on the grind when things were tough, and did what we could to develop the canine program in his honor as well. And
Oh,
I
that's
know
outstanding.
it was and still to this day is a huge motivation, to, as you said, Charlie, Mike.
I'm going to connect you with Louise Thaxton of Fairway. She runs our American Warriors Initiative, and they given away hundreds of service dogs to people. So I'm going to connect you. You and she need to communicate. Maybe we need to get Louise here for the ball. Sorry, I interrupted.
You can do some of this stuff offline. You do realize,
yeah.
So for our listeners, we're really excited to have Mike Rumfeld and really Leilani Rumfeld as well, the co-founders of the America's Defenders Foundation, and I appreciate you taking time out of a Saturday morning to be with us. Next week, we're really excited. Speaking of Gus Karbakis, retired NYPD detective, he is now at the Texas Veterans Network and with the Combined Arms, and we'll have them explain it, but they're going to be our guests next Saturday, the 25th.
Oh, that's great. Gus is a great guy.
Absolutely. This is another show that you really want to tune into. All of our shows are great, and the content is actually getting better.
Yeah, thanks.
So there we go.
All right. Well, let's close with a prayer. Lord God, we're so thankful for your hedge of protection. Please take care of our defenders of freedom, our thin blue line, and our American military around the world that protects us and takes care of us. Thank you, Lord God, for all you do. Thank you for uniting this nation and continuing the mission. This we pray in your holy name. Amen. Thank you for being on board, and thank you for joining us. Please go to YouTube, Facebook, be a part of the Veterans Impact Show. We're here to continue the mission for you. Thank you.